Alright, welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'll be basically explaining the only trading view systems you would technically need in order to make consistent profits in the market. So one of the trading view indicators I personally use is called Swift Algo X. The link will be in my description for this one. So this is actually one of my favorite indicators by far. So basically, I get asked a lot about my settings. What do I do? How do I use Swift Algo X? So I'll be explaining my settings. So once you add Swift Algo X to your trading view chart, you'll go to where it says settings. And basically, the indicator sensitivity has to be higher than the time frame you're trading on. So I personally trade on the 1 minute time frame. So typically, I usually use the 5 minute indicator sensitivity for this one. Sometimes I may actually use 15, but most of the time I'm using 5. Okay. All right. EMA, I keep this EMA filter on by default. I keep 300 by default. Sometimes I may change it to 200. Sometimes I may change it to 150 or 100, sometimes even 50. Just to see if I can get a better backtest setting. But in this, I usually use 300 most of the time. So I usually keep this by default. I find 300 does work the best for me. Calculated bars, I keep this sometimes by default 5,000. So if you do keep it by default 5,000, it does go back just a limited amount of data. So if you go back, let's see how far back. So it actually stops basically right there on February 10th. So it only goes back basically 3 days on the 1 minute time frame. Since we're on February 13, it only went back until February 10th. So it only goes back a set limit amount. So when you change this to 0, it does use all the bars available based on your trading view plan. For me, since I have the premium plan, it utilizes 20,000 bars, since that's what's available on the premium plan. So you get basically more data, but your win rate does actually drop because it's using more data to calculate its signals. So just keep that in mind if you want to see more data. I usually go back and forth. So sometimes I may use 0, sometimes I may use 5,000. So I really just play with it. I go back and forth with it and just analyze the data from there. Okay. And risk to reward ratio, I keep this as a 1-to-1 always. When you do change it to basically 1:2, it does actually drop down your win rate significantly. See it drop down to 42%. If you can get a 1-to-2 risk to reward with a 50% minimum win rate, I would say that's, you're obviously considered profitable. But even as low as 40% is still pretty good. But that's probably better for crypto or forex. When it comes to futures, I find it hitting losses most of the time. So I actually prefer to keep this as a 1-to-1. I find 1-to-1 does work a lot better for me. So yeah. And they actually also enabled, or they added a new feature called max stop loss size percentage. I actually would like to keep this enabled. So which means anything that's 1% or greater, it's going to skip those trades. And if you actually click on this, it actually does give you information. So this filter prevents trades where stop loss is too far from the entry price. So if set is 1% by default, for example, any trade requiring a stop loss larger than 1% of the asset will be ignored. So basically anything, larger than 1%, it will automatically skip those trades. So which means it does actually help to filter out those very large stop loss sizes. And this is actually really beneficial for futures day traders. Okay. If you're trading forex, it does not really matter too much, because the reason why is because you can risk the same percentage with every single trade. So it doesn't really matter whether the stop loss to take profit is large, because you're basically losing and gaining the same amount if you're actually risking the same percentage. But with futures, it's kind of a little bit complicated with futures, because obviously if you're trading one contract size of NQ, obviously, for example, you need $1,000, and we all know NQ moves $20 per point. So meaning if it hits take profit, you'll either gain a lot of money, or if it actually hits your stop loss, you can actually lose a lot of money. Because you cannot really risk the same percentage, because it basically moves $20 per point. Especially if you're trading prop firms, it's kind of a little bit complicated with that. And especially with prop firms, for futures day traders, you do have to close at the end of the trading session, because it's actually one of their rules. So at least this does actually help to filter out those large stop loss sizes, mainly because, obviously if it does not hit take profit stop loss, by the end of the session, it will actually automatically close your trade out if you're trading prop firms. So you are basically violating one of those rules. But if you're trading a personal cash account that's on TradeAway, it doesn't really matter too much. But with max stop loss size, let's say for NQ, I like to keep this probably at 0.3%. So if you actually look at that, so backtest setting is 100%. So it's telling me to change the multiplier to 10. So algorithm multiplier, and change this to 10. Algorithm period, it's telling me to change it to 6. So I changed that to 6, because the current test setting has to match basically the backtest setting, right? So they're both 100%. So I'm gonna have to experiment with this a little bit. So basically how I basically personalize my setup with this is I go to the settings tab, go to style. I like to uncheck this buy and sell signals. I'll tell you why later. And then I like to check this long entry, short entry. And these two, I like to add third level thickness to both of them. Same thing, I like to uncheck these two, add third level thickness to both of them. That's just my own personal preference. And with this one, I like to add 50% more shaded to each of them. Like so. And then I like to uncheck this box because I don't need this extra data. I only want it to show the name of the indicators, which is Swift Algo X. That's all I do for style. Visibility, I leave as is. Input. I do get asked, how often do I update this? So before, I usually check it once in the morning, like before New York session opens up. And then I check it at nighttime before I actually go to sleep. And then I check it between 2 to 3 p.m. PST, since I live in California, because that's the time the market does close for that 1 hour session, 1 hour pause. So I do check it as much as needed, and I do actually only update these settings as long as I'm not in a trade. Now, if I'm actually currently in a trade, I don't change the settings until after the trade. But now I usually try my best to update it just once per day if you're trading on the 1 minute time frame. Okay? If you're trading on the 5 minute time frame, then probably every 2 to 3 days. 15 minutes or 1 hour, probably once per week. Okay? Because there's dashboard is always updating due to the current market conditions. So that's a Swift Algo X, and that is a trade view indicator, not a trading view strategy. So we're going to turn this into a trading view strategy. So I use the ConFlux. If you see this symbol, that means it's a strategy. This one does not have a symbol, meaning it's an indicator. So we're going to add this. The link will be in my description if you want it. So it will look something like this, okay? So you go to the ConFlux settings. You keep the ConFlux requirement as single. Long signal 1, you want to choose Swift Algo X buy signal only, okay? So you want to check that. Make sure enable long 1 is checked by default. Short signal 1, you want to change this to sell signal only. Make sure enable short 1 is checked by default. Use trading windows. I usually keep this unchecked because I like this to trade all sessions. Then go all the way down to exit method. I change this to indicator exit. Long TP indicator. You want to select take profit. Long stop loss indicator. You want to check this one called Swift Algo X stop loss. Then you're going to do the exact same thing with short TP. So you select take profit, and then short SL, you want to select stop loss. That's all I do for this one. I go to properties. This is where you adjust your sizing. Since I'm trading on NQ, just one contract only. Then it's really important, you want to check on bar close. Since I have the premium plan, I'm going to check using bar magnify and using standard open, high, low, close. Okay. You need this if you're on the premium plan. But if you're not on the premium plan, then just keep that unchecked. Style tab, I don't need this all extra data. I keep that unchecked. Just the name of the indicator only. Visibility, leave it as is, and that's all I do with the ConFlux indicator. After that, you hit OK. So basically how this system works, it basically turns Swift Algo X from a trading view indicator to a trading view strategy. So meaning, that's why I actually do uncheck these buy and sell signals as well as exit signals, because I already have the ConFlux strategy signals on the chart. And that's just too redundant. It just makes the chart look more cluttered, but that's just based on personal preference. So meaning you'll enter a trade right there, and then it will actually exit the trade right there. Okay. If you're trading this manually, then obviously you want to look on the dashboard. So for example, it's below this EMA line. This EMA turns red. It gave you a sell signal, right? The trend dashboard all shows bearish. And ranging, it shows it's not ranging. Strength, it just shows it's medium. So it's probably, you can take this trade if you want, but the EMA line is kind of flat. Usually when the EMA line is flat, you obviously want to actually avoid the trade if it's flat. You want to actually enter the trade if it's actually sloping either upwards or downwards. So if for example, sell signal is check. Below the EMA line, sloping, check. If the entire trend dashboard, let's say this is bearish, all bearish, all good, then you enter the trade. And then you ride the trade until it hits your TP. If you're trading this manually. They're also coming out with a new update. I'm not sure when that's going to be released. They said it's going to be very soon. I think they said it's going to auto detect, or it's going to give you the best time frame to trade on whatever ticker you're having. And I think it's going to also auto detect basically the best sensitivity as well for that asset. And that's coming soon, so I'm actually looking very excited to use that as well. And one of the other additional benefits of the ConFlux indicator is you can actually view the strategy report. So you can see it won 6 trades in the last week or 2 weeks, or the last few days actually. Gave me 6 again profits. It won all the trades. So you can actually see. If you're trading basically one contract of NQ, I can tell you that this can actually definitely pass your eval account pretty quickly. I will actually be testing this out on an eval account, but if you select 0, for example, so we can go back further. And also another note is sometimes I may actually trade on the 5-minute time frame as well, and then I may change my indicator sensitivity to 15 minutes or 1 hour. Just keep that in mind. I'm never having the same settings. But I do keep EMA as 300 by default. Calculate bars, I go back and forth between 0 and 5,000. Max stop loss size, I keep this at 0.3, probably for NQ. If you're trading M and Q, probably 0.2. But I'm always updating the multiply impaired on a daily basis if it changes. If it, obviously if it stays the same, I'll keep it the same. So if you look at the strategy report, so it's telling me best is 71%. If it's below 70%, I probably don't want to actually enter the trade. I want to keep it at least 70 and above for me to actually, keep my indicator on. So 8, 4. So let's see what this looks like. It's updating. So you see total P&L is over 13,000, max drawdown 3,000, total trades 39. See 71% matches what's on the dashboard, profit factor 2.2. And if you go back, let's say last 7 days, it does show 5,000, still above 70%. So let's do last 30 days. So bigger drawdown, actually 57%. So I would not go back no more than 90 days. The closer the dates are, the more accurate the report will show. So let's see if we can do 90 days. And I do get asked a lot about the profitable trades, the percentage versus the dashboard. Obviously, if you do change the dates, then the percentage will obviously change. Different from what's on the dashboard. So let's give a couple of seconds. So 50%, it's not really good. Profit factor 1.0, so you can always go back to reset to chart session. So it'll go back to whatever that percentage is. And if you go to list of trades, you'll see the drawdowns of 1.4K, 1.4K. So it does give you actually a lot more safer drawdown rather than 2K, because for example, if you go back to this one, let's say you want to do like 1%, which is actually by default, or let's say we're going to leave this unchecked, for example. So give it a few seconds for it to load. If you're trading, for example, like on M&Q, which is the micro version of this, I'll probably would do 0.2 percentage. Or see, it actually loaded. So you got 3,000 drawdown, 1. Oh, actually, I forgot to update my settings. So let's do 7 and let's do 8. Give it a few seconds to load. But if you're doing M and Q, I would probably do 0.2, NQ probably 0.3. So see that's where percentage matches. See you get 1.8K, $3,000 in drawdown, 2.8K. So this can easily blow your accounts. So I really like this new feature. I think they did a really awesome job with the max stop loss size, because this will be a huge benefit to futures day traders. So if you select this, let's say 0.3 is what I would do. I would probably definitely do lower than 1%. Give a few seconds for it to load. I have to update the settings again. So this is 8. This is 4. Okay, a few seconds to load. So you see safer drawdown. See 1.4K, not bad. 600. So this is actually a lot safer than losing $2,000 to $3,000 in one single trade. So you can always do one contract of NQ if you want to play more aggressively. If I'm trying to MNQ, probably 0.2. I think 0.3 works best for NQ. I don't think it works that well when it comes to 0.2 for NQ. So it's almost about the same, but it's up to you. So it does give you like even lower drawdown, which is really awesome. So you can actually play with it. For eval accounts, I would recommend doing NQ, probably one contract, probably 0.2, 0.3 if you want to pass your eval accounts a lot faster. It just depends whether you want to be aggressive or conservative. But if you're trading M and Q on a funded account, I probably would do maybe 2 contracts of that. I actually do have it saved on here. So this is using 3 contracts. So you can adjust your contract sizing on the properties to contracts. And you can see losing trades 152. So it's a lot more safer now compared to before, because without the stop loss size settings, one single trade can blow $300-400. I even saw as high as $1,000 on one contract of M&Q. So this is a huge game changer. I'm actually loving this max stop loss percentage. I think they did a really good job with this. This is a huge benefit for futures day traders. And to close at the end of the session, I do have that feature on ConFlux. So you would need to enable trading windows, and then you will need to, obviously flatten at the end of the New York session to adhere by the rules and regulations for prop firms. So that's that. Both links will be in my description if you do want access to this indicator. It's one of my favorite indicators by far. And I'm also using another indicator, as you know, called the Flux Engine. That indicator is also in my link description as well. Because if you go to Top Step Account, ignore this first week. I was using a different indicator, not my own, but I still ended the week in green. Then the Flux Engine got me 1.2K in profit, followed by the next week, almost $700 in profit, all by the Flux Engine. But this week was not good for me. I ended Monday with $105. Unfortunately, Tuesday was a losing day. Wednesday took a loss. Thursday got me back up. So I only ended the week at $98 in profit. Friday, if I did actually trade it on Friday, I would have ended the week with a losing week, or a red week. So I decided to actually not trade on Fridays anymore. I'm only trading Mondays to Thursdays for now. So I began my trading session starting on Sunday, going to Thursday. After Thursday session ends, I'm turning my indicator off. I'm no longer trading on Fridays. But I still ended the week green and ended up with $757 in profit. That link for the Flux engine will be in my description. And I also have a new indicator also called the Smart Money Concepts, which you can get right there. That will also be included in the suite as well. So you can use this as extra confluences. It gives you these green and red bands. So if you go to Style tab, I like to just keep them off, this one. I keep the buy and sell ribbons on. And then you can initiate them. I like to make this basically 50% shaded. I like to make this 50% shaded because I like to really personalize or customize my chart just to make it look more cleaner or make it look more cooler. I like to also enable these premium discount zones as well. Let's see, extension. I like to activate fair value gaps. I like to make this 30 so it can be, so it can be seen on the chart a lot more clearer. But yeah, basically this is a smart money concept. If you know what smart money is, then it should be pretty easy for you. So for example, like you could have entered this trade right there and rode this green trend all the way up to the premium zone for a take profit. And then once it hit the premium zone, you could have actually entered a sell position and rode it all the way to the equilibrium line. Obviously, I'm not going to explain smart money concepts to you. If you know SMC, then you should know what all of this actually means. If you want me to explain further in depth what all of this means, just leave a comment in the description. If I can get like 100 likes on this video, then I'll make one full video talking about smart money concepts and how you can use it as extra confluence to help in your trading. But basically, break of structure. So if you know how to trade SMC, this actually just does all the work for you. Like for example, like this one, you could have entered a sell position right there, and you could have rode the trend all the way down to the red ribbon until it touches it. Then you can exit the trade out. So this can really help you in your trading. So it hit like the premium zone or like the resistance level, and you can actually rode the trade all the way down. So you can use this as extra confluence, but I don't really do much in the settings. But you can use this in combination with Swift Algo X or with Flux Engine or using the orb automation strategies. But all of this will be available if you click the links in my YouTube description of this video. But that's all I'm probably gonna mention in this video. If you want to actually automate this, check out my other automation videos. I do talk more in depth about automation, as well as talking more in depth in the settings of the ConFlux. Other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next video.